Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. And Cardano right now, it's still not doing anything, and well, this should not surprise you because the other altcoins and Bitcoin and Ethereum are also not doing anything. However, Bitcoin, what it's doing right now is going to be very important, but first I'm going to talk about Cardano because that's why you're here. Now, as you can see, we just had a cross between the 200-day moving average and the bull market support band. Now, is this important in this scenario? Well, maybe it is, but maybe it's not. I mean, the last time we had a cross between these two things, as you can see right here, we actually had a big bounce after that. So could we get the exact same thing right now? Maybe, but like I said, maybe not. I mean, here we had another cross, and as you can see after that, we just went lower. So, getting a cross between these things is not necessarily a sign that the price is about to go up. However, it is interesting, and we'll see if something happens or not. I mean, Cardano has gone down right now for about, let's see, 4 months. So at this point, it's gonna go up at some point, I think. I think we're only gonna go sideways for a couple of, days or maybe 1 week or two until Ethereum actually gets to the oversold territory on the weekly. Now, if we do go up right now, we still need the third wave of this one to set up. The target for that is at 75 cents. That's the 200% extension of the one to set up. That's exactly where the 200-day moving average is. And that's also where the bull market support band is, so this is gonna be important to watch. But like always, we could always get another low, maybe even test the 0.786 support level if Ethereum for some reason decides that it wants to drop to like $1,000, which I don't really see happening anymore because the market right now is kind of happy because the tariffs have been stopped for 90 days. So I don't think we'll get anything like that, but you have to be aware that until we get 5 waves up, anything could and will happen. So please be careful, and you know what they say, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. So please be prepared for anything in case it happens, and do not just FOMO in when the altcoins are going up. Maybe actually buy them when they are in the support zone, just like they are right now. Of course, not financial advice, obviously, but also, I want to talk about the daily RSI because the daily RSI is important on the ADA chart. As you can see, we just got above the moving average here, which is actually very good. We have been below it for, many days. And if we actually stay above it, we could be looking at Cardano above $1 very, very soon. Now, speaking of the RSI, I also have to talk about the weekly RSI. I think in the next couple of weeks or maybe even days, we are about to test the trend line right here again. And as you can see, we have been below it since January. So if we actually break above it and we don't get rejected by it, we could be looking at a very nice pump after that, and maybe the third wave of the third wave will actually start right now or in a couple of days. So yes, we did not have a cross on the bull market support band yet. However, that cross could always happen like it did in the previous cycle. If you look at what we were doing right here, the bull market support band was also not really close to getting a cross. However, we had a random pump all of a sudden, and we went from like 9 cents, let's say 10 cents, all the way up to like 20 cents. So we went up like 2x in like 2 weeks, and that caused the bull market support band to start turning around, and we had a cross. And then after the cross, we had much, bigger pumps. And I think the same thing could happen again in this cycle as well, because it's the exact same pattern that we had in the previous cycle. So here we had a 1-2-1-2 setup, and in this cycle we have a 1-2-1-2 setup, and right now I think we are actually here, meaning that we could actually get some type of move to the upside extremely soon if we actually get above the moving average on the weekly. The last time we got above the moving average on the weekly after being below it for many weeks was right here when Cardano dropped from like 79 cents all the way down to like 27 cents, and during this time, like I said, we were below the trend line on the weekly chart on the RSI, and yes, we did get above it many times, but as you can see, we got rejected multiple times. And I think I was actually talking about this when I was making the videos. I did tell you that if we do not stay above the trend line, we will most likely get another low, and what do you know, we got another low, and then we got above it again, we got rejected again. So yeah, even if we do get above it right now, we will need to test it as support after we get above it, so it should look something like this. And if we stay above it, then that could give us the third wave of the third wave. Yes, I will make a t-shirt for that once it actually starts. I mean, there is no reason to make a t-shirt if it did not even start. So of course I'm gonna, do it once it starts, like I said. So right now what Cardano needs to do is obviously get above the 0.618 resistance level right here. This is a very important level. We got rejected here about 7 times or 5 times or something like that already, so we should get back above it. Keep in mind, if we do form 5 waves up, before we do that, we could actually get rejected by it again. So let's say we form some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup. The 5th wave will most likely be in this region right here, meaning that after the 5th wave, we will have to get an ABC down, and yeah, that will look like a rejection, but it will not really be a rejection because we will have 5 waves up completed, and if we have 5 waves up completed, I will actually be able to tell you that the second wave is in and that we are starting the third wave of the third wave. And once that starts, trust me, you will not want to miss it. Please do not forget that when this move right here started, everybody started buying Cardano, not when it was going sideways over here. So please do not make the same mistake twice. If you actually made this mistake, please do not buy coins when they are going up. Instead, try buying them when they are going down, because when you look at the history of Cardano, it always goes up for a while and then it drops a lot, and then it goes up again, and then it drops a lot, and then it goes up again. I mean, even here in the previous cycle, it went up, then it went down, it went up, then it went down, and then it went up, and then what do you know, it went down. So things do tend to go up and down. That's how markets work, which means that right now, if we are going down, at some point we will go up. Oh, of course, that's just my opinion, but my opinion so far has worked pretty good for me. Now, I also want to talk about Ethereum because, like I told you many times already, we kind of need to get to the oversold territory on the weekly. Now, I know it kind of looks like we are, getting a bottom, and it looks like the bottom is in right now because we already had a green weekly close, but you have to keep in mind this could be a fake out. For example, this right here could have also been a bottom, but it wasn't. I mean, we had, 2 green wicks in a row, and look at what happened after that. So if we actually close this week green, it does not mean that next week cannot be red. And I told you this, we kind of need to get to the oversold territory if we want a bigger bounce, because we only got to the oversold territory 2 times. Now, maybe I'm biased about this because I have a buy order for Ethereum at about $1,400 and I think $20 or so. So maybe that's why I'm thinking this, but it makes sense for Ethereum to get to the oversold territory before actually, getting a pump. Now, could it get a short-term pump? Well, obviously, but I don't know. I mean, this does not really feel like a low. If next week is also green, then I'm probably going to, tell you that the low could be in. Obviously, the low will not be in until we get 5 waves up, but the RSI is so close to getting to the oversold territory, we might as well do it, in my opinion. Maybe we're not gonna do it, but I think we will. Now, I want to talk about Bitcoin because Bitcoin is above the trend line on the weekly RSI, and this is bullish. It closed above it. I told you about this many times. I told you if we do not close above it, we are most likely in a left translated peak, and by the looks of it, we are not in a left translated peak, and this means that Bitcoin will most likely do this right here very, very soon, because we are just following the exact same pattern every single time. If you have not watched my previous videos, after going up here, we dropped about 22% and we dropped to 25k. After going up here, we dropped about 33% and we dropped to about 50k, and after going up here, we dropped about 30% and we went down to exactly 75k. So from each low to each low, we went up, 25k more. And also, if you look at the weekly RSI, the RSI went to the exact same place every single time, which leads me to believe that the low could already be in for Bitcoin. Now, please do not forget, if the low is in for Bitcoin, it does not mean that it's in for Ethereum. You have to keep in mind Bitcoin dominance exists, and if Bitcoin dominance for some reason wants to get to 66% right now, it could theoretically do that. It's not overbought on the weekly, so we could obviously go higher. Now maybe we're not going high right now because as you can see we're actually red, but this could just be a fake out, and obviously this is not enough. I mean, today is Monday, so we still have like 6 days left, meaning that this week could obviously go higher, and if we actually break above the trend line, which is at about 64%, we are most likely going to 66%, and if that happens, Ethereum will most likely drop lower. And it is what it is. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's a possibility and you have to be aware of all the possibilities. Now, could that same thing happen for Cardano? Well, yes and no. I mean, it all depends on what ADA Ethereum does. If you look at the ADA Ethereum chart, I told you this many times, but the ADA Ethereum chart is in a downtrend, and ADA, if it wants to prove itself against Ethereum, and if it actually wants to be an Ethereum killer, like, many people call it, then it kind of needs to break out of this, falling chart, because, I mean, this at some point will go to zero against Ethereum, and you don't really want to see that. So what we need to do is get back above the 2021 all-time highs, and if we actually do that, it could be very bullish. And right now we could do it if Ethereum for some reason dropped and ADA did not drop with it. Now, is that possible in this scenario? Well, it's only possible if Ethereum drops without Bitcoin dropping. And could Bitcoin, not drop while Ethereum goes down? Well, it's highly unlikely, to be honest. And by the way, if you look at the Bitcoin chart on the 4-hour chart, we are approaching the bull market support band, so we're about to test it, and this is going to be very important. If we get rejected, we could even get another low after that. Is another low possible? Yes, absolutely. And I told you, until we get back above the 200-day moving average and above the bull market support band, another low will always be a possibility. So please do not fall for these traps. Now, maybe it's not a trap, maybe this is where we are at in terms of the structure, but I'm not gonna fall for it. And until we get above, let's say about $94,000 or $95,000, I'm not gonna say anything, because we're still below everything and we still have a bunch of things to do. And the same thing goes for Cardano. So I think in the next couple of weeks we're gonna get some kind of bottom, and then the whole market will just shoot up like it did in November, and I think we are very close to that. So we'll see if it happens. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.